Old age rarely announces itself with fear or sadness or dramatic emotional collapse. It arrives quietly through ordinary days that slowly lose warmth and shared attention. Connection does not disappear suddenly, but thins like fabric worn by time. The mind notices gaps before it understands their meaning or emotional impact. A missed call feels small until it repeats often enough to feel intentional. A delayed visit feels understandable until delay becomes the new normal. Eventually, silence stops feeling neutral and starts feeling personal and heavy. The human brain is designed to search for meaning during emotional uncertainty. When connection fades, meaning often becomes self-blame instead of circumstance. Absence transforms into a story about worth and emotional relevance. Many older people remember a life filled with responsibility and daily importance. Being needed once provided structure, identity, unspoken proof of value. Purpose felt automatic because others depended on effort and presence. When those roles fade, the sense of worth often fades alongside them. This change feels like losing love rather than losing function. The distinction rarely feels clear during emotional vulnerability. Society teaches people to equate value with productivity from a young age. That lesson becomes painful when productivity naturally declines with age. Love begins to feel conditional even when it never truly was. Memory plays a powerful role in shaping this emotional experience. The past becomes vivid because the present feels emotionally undernourished. Painful moments resurface because they never received resolution or understanding. The mind replays old disappointments, searching for explanations and emotional closure. Positive memories feel distant while regret feels immediate and convincing. This imbalance distorts perception and reinforces emotional hopelessness. Loneliness in later life is rarely about physical isolation alone. It is about emotional invisibility and lack of felt presence. People may exist nearby yet still feel unreachable and distant. Conversations change tone with age, becoming shorter and more practical. Emotional curiosity often disappears without conscious intention or cruelty. Being talked around feels very different from being spoken with directly. This shift creates a sense of emotional demotion within relationships. Interest feels polite rather than genuine, and curiosity feels forced. That difference slowly erodes confidence and emotional security. Accumulated loss deepens this belief in being unloved. Friends pass away and familiar faces disappear from daily routines. Each loss quietly trains the nervous system to expect more loss. Hope begins to feel risky because attachment now carries higher emotional cost. Distance becomes protection rather than bitterness or emotional coldness. Withdrawal starts as safety before becoming isolation. Cultural messaging reinforces this experience in subtle but powerful ways. Youth is celebrated while aging is framed as decline. Visibility decreases and representation fades from stories and media. When identity disappears from collective narratives, self-worth often follows. Invisibility slowly transforms into internalized doubt and emotional insecurity. Technology widens this emotional gap further for many older individuals. Connection now moves quickly and demands constant adaptation and engagement. Struggling to keep pace feels like being excluded from modern affection. Unanswered messages hurt more than direct rejection ever could. The mind fills gaps with assumptions shaped by fear and history. If love existed, it would show itself more clearly feels convincing. Health challenges add another layer to this emotional experience. Pain fatigue and reduced mobility limit social energy and participation. Canceled plans create guilt, which reinforces withdrawal and self-blame. Pride also plays a quiet but significant role here. Many were taught that independence defines dignity and strength. Asking for emotional support feels humiliating rather than human. Silence becomes a way to preserve self-respect. Unfortunately, silence is often misread as contentment or emotional distance. Inside, emotional needs remain unmet and unspoken. Wanting connection does not disappear with age. It simply becomes harder to express without feeling burdensome. This internal conflict deepens feelings of unlovability. Believing nobody loves me becomes an emotional shield. Expecting nothing reduces disappointment, but also reduces joy. This belief protects against pain while quietly amplifying loneliness. Feeling unloved does not come from weakness. It comes from prolonged emotional deprivation and unacknowledged grief. Any human deprived long enough will question their worth. This belief is understandable but incomplete and deeply unfair. Love often becomes quieter over time rather than disappearing entirely. Familiarity replaces reassurance without malicious intent. Many forms of care go unspoken because time creates assumptions. Assumptions replace expressions and create emotional distance. Distance then gets misinterpreted as absence of love. Older individuals often underestimate their emotional impact on others. Presence feels invisible when it has always been constant. Absence would be deeply felt even if rarely articulated. Healing begins by gently questioning long-held assumptions. Silence does not always equal indifference or rejection. Busyness does not always mean emotional neglect. Others may care deeply but struggle to express it well. Understanding this reduces emotional certainty and softens inner narratives. Certainty often causes more pain than ambiguity. Rebuilding meaning beyond old roles becomes essential. Worth cannot depend on productivity forever. Existence alone holds value regardless of contribution. This truth requires repetition because conditioning runs deep. Self-worth must be practiced intentionally during later life. It cannot rely on external validation alone. Connection does not need to be frequent to matter. It needs to be sincere and emotionally present. One honest conversation can restore weeks of emotional depletion. Belonging requires spaces that value presence over performance. Listening matters more than efficiency or speed. Shared humanity heals what reassurance cannot. Community rewires perception through lived emotional experience. Being seen corrects distorted beliefs naturally and gently. Connection rebuilds trust and love over time. Feeling unloved is not a final truth. It is a signal asking for understanding and connection. Listening to that signal opens the possibility of healing. Love in older age looks different from earlier chapters. It is slower, quieter, and less performative. Yet it remains necessary and deeply human. Aging does not erase the need for affection. It often deepens it. And love does not expire with time.